All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Monday, November 13th meeting of the Needham Park and Rec Commission. We do have a quorum tonight for our commissioners. We do have one or two that are out tonight for other reasons, but we do have a quorum, so we will vote on items that we can vote on tonight. Starting off with the meeting agendas is that we will open it up to open forum public comments. That is not the guest that we have here. You folks are number 2 on the list. But if there are any other public comments on either Zoom or here, we can listen to them, but I don't see any. So now we'll just kind of dive right into the agenda. That tonight we have some guests. We definitely have Mr. Bob Baker from Disc Golf with a few of his fellow colleagues, I think I would say. So I will invite Bob up to the, and whoever else you'd like to bring, to present Disc Golf proposal. I know that Stacy has it in her packets and has it up on the screen, so you can go right through the presentation. We have it there, and we have it printed. So, Bob, I will yield the floor to you.
Okay, thank you. I know you guys are very busy tonight, so I'll try to be brief and save time for your questions. I know you had some great questions last time as well. We were here during, I guess, open mic, and we distributed the packet to you. We talked a little bit about disc golf. We're very excited to be here tonight. We think there's a great opportunity in Needham to bring disc golf to the town. We know we recognize, we know it's going to be a long path, so we really do see tonight as an opening conversation. But we do have a couple of requests that we're going to share with you this evening. Move to the next slide if you'd like, and stop me with any questions that you might have. There was a lot of confusion in the naming of disc golf, and it was invented when Wham-O invented the frisbee in 1970s or 50s even. The thought was disc golf was created. You can see this box, and the confusion is already there. It says frisbee disc golf for the frisbee golf disc for the game of disc golf, and it had already. They had pictured it really as something like traditional ball golf. That's why you see the clean-cut couple. There's actually, you can't see it, there's a church steeple in the background. It looks like a golf course. That's not really the way disc golf is played now. In New England, we play it mainly in wooded areas. You can move ahead. So there are a lot of similarities to traditional ball golf. We use a lot of the same rules. We use a lot of the same vocabulary. If you were to listen to a bunch of disc golfers out and not see what they were doing, it could sound like they were playing traditional ball golf. We talk about pars. We change our discs like we do with clubs. There's also professional disc golf. There are a lot of differences, however, and we're going to stress a lot of the differences here today. It is a family-oriented game. It's inexpensive. You get a starter set of discs for $20. I think some of the discs are going to be passed around tonight by some disc golf enthusiasts. It might be a little more than $20, but not really much more than that. There are no golf widows in the sport, and it takes about 75 to 90 minutes to play a sport. A lot of women play, kids play. Older folks play, obviously, and it's a very green sport, which is something that we're very excited about. I mean, there's no fertilizer used. It's played in natural terrain. Has anyone ever played before? I know Stacey's played. Yeah. Have you guys ever thrown it?
I have seen it, but I have not played it.
One of our requests I'll put out right away and say we would love to take you out and share a round of disc golf with you. I'll talk a little bit more about where the local courses are. This is the Innova Flight Pad. Innova is one of the many makers of discs. It's a multi-million-dollar sport. I'm sure I'm underestimating its total value at this point, but just do something different. It's a very accessible sport on one hand, where grandparents can play with their grandkids and new people can play, but it's also a bit of a wonky sport if you want it to be. You can really shape a shot and you know, if there was a tree right here and Stacy was a basket, we could find a way to throw around that tree and try to hit the basket, but you want to pass around, we have some discs here, we're just gonna pass them around, and the challenge is, one of them is a putter. The small one is a marker that you use, one of them is a putter, so can you feel the disc that's more stable? That actually is a putter. And, so just to show you, this is hole 1 at Borderland, which is in Easton. It is one of the top ranked disc golf courses in the United States. I don't think that's really what we're thinking about here, but you can see that it's played in the woods. There is a path that's been established in the woods, but it's mainly been established by foot traffic over the years because that's where people play. So there is, you know, no fertilizer, no maintenance. A tee pad is built, and there is a basket that you can't see. That is down below. There is, I think, one of the really endearing parts of the sport is when you throw it into the chains. That's the addiction moment. It is just a wonderful feeling. For people who haven't seen, in the interest of time, I'm just going to show briefly a couple of how you throw a backhand drive. Most people throw this way. For the launch up, you can also throw forehand. So it'd be like if you were a traditional ball golfer and you could both hit lefty and righty depending on whether you wanted to. But if you just want to click on that first one and just that's about 10 seconds, and just to show the beginning of that. And
that you're throwing like this, like a frisbee, but you're actually coming back here and then following through. Or over here.
okay, so that's I can't throw like that.
Yeah, shoulder pop out.
And so she's young and she's strong and she's got great form. Dawn Shin, however, is 100 years old. And I was just going to show that at 104 on that, Stacy.
104.
Yeah, if we're about, hopefully an ad won't pop up there probably. And just for about 30 or 40 seconds.
What's not your list?
That's a good thing.
I'm bigger. And they make them. That make you very young. I could have a big little people. That's what I have. I don't know when I do it, but I have a big. What are you going to do tomorrow? I'm going to do tomorrow.
So it's a sport for everyone, from young and all the way to over 100 years old, and it's a sport that's really been taking off quickly. This is from UDisc website, and it shows where a lot of the local courses are. There are courses that are opening and expanding everywhere. I just heard from folks on the Park and Rec Commission in Medfield that they're looking to open a course in the spring. There's actually a couple of Needham people involved in that, a couple of Needham teachers, a couple of wellness teachers. One of them is a professional disc golfer, Tim Walsh, who said he would help us with this project, which I'm gonna explain to you a little bit later this evening. There are courses planned in, there's a course open in West, and I'm sure I'm gonna miss most of them. There's one being planned in Canton. They're like slightly ahead of us, but it's a time where towns are beginning to find a way to make the sport available to the people who live in that town and in the surrounding area. But it's not a glut of courses yet, and that's good news because we would not want to be that far ahead of the curve that we were the only disc golf town in town, because we would be swamped by disc golf. So that is not where we're at. We're at a very good time and a very good place. This is the incredible takeoff before pickleball took over the craze. Disc golf was the craze, and it's been growing steadily. And I think it's going to continue growing steadily. There's a new course in Milford called Louisa Lake, which maybe if you want to come play with us, maybe we'll take you there. It was created by a company called Disc Golf Park, and they pretty much put it all together as a package. They've opened over 1,000 courses worldwide, hundreds of them in Central Europe. So the sport is just taking off. And there are some statistics on it, very popular in Scandinavia and really around the world. And because it is such an accessible sport with low overhead that everyone can play. This is just a slide to show where everything is going here. And that is one of our most famous disc golfers, Simon Lazard, and the guy sitting behind me here. He wanted to get his picture in the slideshow, I guess. But Simon is one of the few disc golfers with a 10-year, $10 million contract. He's from Germany, and he decided to live in a place that was the center of disc golf. He lives in Massachusetts. He's moved here. He's been a world champion. So our goals, we have two main goals. We want to establish a quality course that's professionally designed. We do have a course that's in Needham currently. There is a 9-hole at Olin, which is not professionally designed. The baskets aren't even attached to the ground. There is rows of thorns right behind them. There's a soccer game that's going on in several of the holes on a lot of the time. So we're looking for a course that is professionally designed, because that's really what works. And we'd like a course that has longer, long and short tees, long and short baskets, same tee, one tee, two different baskets, one for that everybody can play and people can be challenged on, and one that is for more experienced disc golf. And we'd like to, right now Louisa Lake has 9 holes. We would like to look for an area where, if we do decide to start to 9, that it could eventually be expanded to 18. I walk around every centimeter of Needham. I walked 4.5 miles today. I saw 4 people and 4 dogs, and there is a lot of open space in Needham. I know that everybody has plans and ideas. One of the great things about disc golf is that it coexists with other sports, with other activities. Walkers and bikers always have right of way. The area of concern is between where the tee pad is and the green. We call it green. There's no green. I mean, it's pine needles or whatever it is. But on those longer shots, we would have to place the holes carefully. And people do learn to live with them. And we could talk to all people in Milford and at Borderland, but if disc golf does coexist nicely with other activities. I don't think the Needham Golf Club wants us walking through there, but this would be a place where disc golfers would expect other people to be walking through. These are really just for sake of discussion and introduction. We have not got our heart set on a place, and we really want to hear your feedback and a lot of other people in town's feedback. The area that's south of Charles River Road, which also includes the Castle Farm property. I know Castle Farm has become a lot more dicey in recent days. We included that southern blurb of purple there would be in part on the southern, would be in part on the Castle Farm property. And that's kind of a dream disc golf area, because you have all the woods. The northern 2 purple blurbs are woods, and the southern is open field, and that is a nice combination for a disc golf course. But I was just doing some research on that area today. Needham currently owns 30 acres in that area. We only need 18 for a full course with everything, with all the bells and whistles. So that is already in the northern part. The area that abuts Ridge Hill on the north, if you could just go back for a second, Stacy, to the other side. The area to the north is abuts Ridge Hill, and it also is where the dog park is and in the Needham Community Farm. That's approximate. I mean, it could be more of it could be on the road in. And the area certainly around where that field is, there is plenty of room. I did have a discussion this summer with the treasurer at the Needham Community Farm. We talked about the synchronicity of these two activities, and he really felt that a lot of disc golfers could be interested in CSA shares and raised beds, and it would be a great spot to utilize and to go well with other activities like the community farm, which is doing such a fantastic job. And the final location, and this is again a full 18-hole course, and maybe doesn't need quite that footprint. The only trail that is used in the town forest on a regular basis is exactly that. Is what Stacey was just showing. That's where when I walk that 3 times a week, that's where 90% of the walkers are. There are very few people off to the right there. But those trails would all remain open. Those would be between holes. The only, in that plan, and these are all rough drafts, in that plan, the only trail that does get utilized is that one that comes up the west side from the parking lot, where I've never seen it. I'm not going to get into the cost here tonight in a lot of detail, but I know you have these presentations, and I know that Stacey printed them out for you. Thank you for doing that. These are our estimates of costs, and there's not a lot of upkeep. Let me go to the next slide, and we can look at some of the other upkeep. I know that from our research, disc golf courses are eligible for CPA funding. A good basket, like the one shown here, I believe that one is at Dacey Field in Franklin, lasts for a long time. If you buy a quality basket, I've never seen them actually go bad. I imagine they eventually do. Needham could monetize this in some way if it wanted to, like it does with tennis badges, or we could ask people to pay to play. There are ways to do it. In general, public courses are free, but that doesn't mean that has to be Needham's model. But I think we are putting the cart before the horse a little bit, talking about those things. What we would like to ask you tonight, other than to come on and play with us at some point, is for a pop-up course. We need them to get to see this. We're kind of running out of time here in this year because the weather is about to turn much worse. We do play all year. We'll play all year. You can't, if you're a true disc golfer, you can't say it's too cold or too wet. Sometimes it really is too cold or too wet, but you're not supposed to say that. So we actually have requested a date relatively soon. We're ready to move on if you give us the go ahead. The weekend of December 9th with a rain date of December 10th. We know that the fields aren't being used for sports at that point. We were hoping there was a Christmas tree sale going on there. There is not. I guess the Christmas tree sale is happening earlier. But I mean, that is a rough draft. I would certainly, work with Stacey to make sure the holes make sense. There are some obstacles like 1 and 2 coming around are interesting holes. There are a few obstacles. 5 is a very short hole that's quite interesting. Going across the field, that's what we'll use. The more controversial one is the final hole, which is 6. That is into the quarry. So that's kind of a disc golfer's dream. If you stood behind the quarry and shot down, you can take a putter and basically just toss it and shoot it at the basket. It's wonderful. We'll have a lot of people there. We have a lot of we have over 125 people in our Facebook group. The 3 wellness teachers from Needham have all said they'll come out and help us with this pop-up course, and we have loved it. Disc golfers love to help people, love to turn people onto the game, and we will make sure that everybody has discs. I know Needham High School has discs that we can share. We have lots of discs as well that we would bring out for this event. So if we judge that if we said that, you know, that hole is. Too much of a cliff, there are trails there, so people would walk around, you throw down, then you walk around. We will move the basket to somewhere else, but we think a pop-up course is a great way to get Needham. More familiar with it, for people to be able to bring out their kids and to have a fun day, learn a little bit about disc golf. We're gonna make some marker discs, the small disc you saw is a marker disc, you're supposed to put that down where the disc lands. And then you can take any disc out of your bag to throw from, so we'll have some marker discs as well. Anyway, that's it, that I wasn't gonna show you that, actually, if you go back to the last slide for just a second. There, if Claxton doesn't work out, we have other ideas, we can do it in Memorial. There is already an excellent pop-up course that the wellness teachers have designed there, so it wouldn't really, we just have to follow what they've already done. And the other area that is a possibility would be the area to the eastern side of Pollard and kind of below Pollard. That has a lot of terrain features as well, where we could set up a short course. So did anybody figure out what the putter was out of the disc?
The white one,
The white
clear.
The white clear was right.
But,
Is that right? Okay.
That's right.
Anything you want to add? Okay.
Thumbs up.
All right, any questions?
Thanks. Definitely, Jim, start with you, any questions?
No, I think it's a great idea, and I've been meaning to call you, but
Okay, we're gonna get in touch with all of you and ask if you. Come play with us.
Cindy, any questions?
I do agree with that. Stacy's not doing that. So we have a team at high school, we have a disc golf team in the high school or no?
It's not, I wouldn't say it's a team, it's an activity.
It's an activity,
It's done,
okay.
it's done in wellness.
Okay. The T-pad, is that typical that we saw that brick thing, is that a typical T-pad, so those have to be installed for each
Correct.
hole, so you get 9 holes, you have 9 of those.
And those were representative costs that I gave.
Yep, okay.
That will give.
In design costs, is that, when you said the cost, 9 holes plus 48,000, do we have to be a designer to do this, or is it simple enough that you don't have to? I mean, we're used to doing projects where we go through feasibility and design and blah, blah, blah. It seems like it maybe have to skip some of those steps. Is that true? Do you know?
The company that I was mentioning earlier, Disc Golf Park,
Yeah.
doesn't include the design.
Okay,
So I think people have found, disc golfers have found when you design this in your backyard, it doesn't really work out that well. They really,
you need someone to,
you really do need if we're gonna put, $46,000 into a 9-hole course, the design comes with that package.
but this golf cart includes the design, the basket, material for the heat pad, and all the signage.
okay,
And the signage would include
But
all,
installation is done by the
got it.
the signage would include all the rules about walkers and bikes having precedence and whatever other rules the town wants to establish.
And then, did you say 18 acres? Is that what you need? What's the amount of space you need for say a 9? And then call it 9-hole course?
The 9-hole would be roughly 9 acres,
9 acres. so-
an 18-hole course would be 18. I
Okay.
know Quincy did something that's much less, but it's more of a pitch and putt course, and they did it at their.
It's a part 3.
Mhm.
It's a part 3.
Yeah, well, they're all part 3.
Oh, all right.
They're all part 3.
Okay, got it. And so you said you don't need exclusive use of the property when you're playing.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. And do you think most disc golfers are willing to pay a fee to play?
I think they would be. And the question whether the town wants to try to do that. But I think disc golfers are a pretty appreciative lot at this point.
Right. I'm just saying, we do have tennis badges and we're asking pickleball to pay for a tennis badge or a pickleball badge, right? And we charge organized sports, field fees and all that kind of thing. So I'm just thinking, people pay to go to the pool, just thinking of the models that the town uses.
I think
Be
that's,
surprised, we have people come who would like something built and then they say, we wouldn't pay for that, would we? You might.
yeah, I think that's definitely an option for Needham. I also think there is a lot of disc golf tourism around. I mean, most disc
Yeah.
golfers want to check out every course.
Yeah.
I know there's a course in Weston that that is just open, but I mean, if Needham were to open a course, there would be a small uptick in business. People might come for the day and play and then go to a local restaurant.
And,
Well, no different than people do for pickleball now.
right, and I'm just saying, we
Well,
get asked that question a lot, can you charge your fee, and why aren't we charging your fee? So we always just have to think about that, whether or not it's a right idea. And then lastly, is there a league, is there a local league, that, or a regional league, is that, are we at that stage, I'm guessing?
There are a lot of disc golf groups, and of course, they usually form some round courses. There's a website called UDisc, which has lots of players. And probably there would be a group that would bond around a decent 18-hole course here in Needham. Not only would it form a nucleus, but it would be a source of volunteers. I mean, a lot of the main work at Borderland and in J.C. Field and Franklin is done by volunteers. So there are two major courses on the Cape right now, and they're really done by volunteer groups. So if you build something that's good enough, it will be supported by the players, and they will take care of it.
And my last question, Mr. Chair,
Sure is.
I think it is, could you play on trails? So you're talking about the town forest, and we have some extensive trail systems. And actually, Ridge Hill, which is not under our jurisdiction, but
Right.
know that property well. Could you play on a trail system? With a
You
little bit
could,
of meadows?
plan a trail system. I mean, out of Louisa Lake, there are roads there, and the roads have become the fairways. But the way we looked at, the town forest is that the roads, the main trails, the trails that are on the map would not be part of the course.
Okay.
So the holes are between there. Now, if you walk around in the town forest, there are trails everywhere.
Mhm.
They're not all marked trails, but the marked trails would not be part of a disc golf course.
Yeah, thank you. That's it.
Wow. I think you stole 90% of my questions, but no, I mean, one of the things that I looked at or brought up during the presentation is you are very similar to golf, but also the opposite of golf, where in reality, golf, you don't want to play in the trees, even though that's where I usually golf from. But here, this is what you're looking for, type of thing, of course. The maintenance wise, I mean, we're always looking for new programs, but one of the questions we always ask is, what's going to take to maintain it? What's going to take to keep the upkeep? That it seems like there's very minimal, like there's a startup, and then as you think in the presentation had, if a tree comes down or occasional grass cutting, I mean, those seem like reasonable requests compared to, oh, well, we need to paint it every single season. We need to have this, we need to have that, like some of the other sports that we have out there. So it seemed a very short and very doable list, as a matter of fact. Question.
I just wanted to add, it's not really a question,
Mhm.
regarding maintenance, you could have certain businesses or people sponsor each team. It's very frequent, you see like small advertisements on the post. So that could either be like the business adopts it, or it's like a sporting group adopts it and maintains it. Or you could use that as a source of revenue too, if you wanted to make some money off of it as well. So that gives you 18 slots or more if you do multiple per team for advertising.
Well, that's great. I know I personally seen it over in Medfield, where I've seen it coexist at the high school, where you just happen to be walking from one field to another and you see it, and it wasn't in the way, it wasn't obstructive to any other thing that was going on there. I mean, I didn't walk the whole course, but I have seen it coexist where you have houses, you have a forest, you have a school, and it didn't seem to get in the way of anybody. Luckily, it wasn't vandalized or anything like that, but it seemed like it was a course that, you didn't know it unless you really tripped upon it. So, but once you noticed it, you knew it was there all the time. I guess the questions I would ask for the group is, what are the expectations from the group of, say, a timeline or a time period of what you would hope to see and or for something like this to come to fruition?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think I can picture the process from here well enough to do that. But at some point we do have to figure out where we want to build this course. So I think that would be the next step. I would hope that we would be able to do that within the next year or so. And then to try to move forward from there.
Stacy.
I have a couple questions.
First is, you referred it to disc golf versus ball golf, so in ball golf, you have multiple distances for tees, but only one pin. And it sounds like disc golf is the opposite.
I'm sorry if I led you to that, you could do it that way, but I was suggesting the same.
Okay,
I was thinking, so you have one basket
yes,
and you have multiple tees,
Okay.
but I mean, when I look at like the Needham golf course. I don't see a lot of difference between the tees, I mean, there's a little difference, I mean, to me, they're all hopelessly far away. But in disc golf, in disc golf, there really is a difference. So there's one tee that's much more playable, you know, we would take you out to the shorter tee, and even. Courses even put in a third, it's not really a tee, they put like a stake in the ground for like little kids to throw. So you have one basket, so you have multiple places to throw. And you could have a place that's really in a very different part of the woods. You could have, you know, the basket there, you could have one tee pad over there and one tee pad could be way out over there.
the question behind it.
Yeah,
Or
so,
Stephen.
to install baskets, takes a couple of guys. An hour, for it's a big hole, put up some concrete. Installing a tee with this is like building a patio, so it's easier to put in a basket than a tee, so it's preferable to start with baskets. In fact, some courses have a summer position and a winter position, and you move the basket back and forth. They leave the concrete in the ground and and that's.
Okay,
And if there's no concrete, there are courses that just have a rubber pad down. That start with a rubber pad, not ideal, and not necessarily, and that doesn't really last. But there are courses where the tee pads are just that simple.
my second question is, and you may not know the answer, what is the vandalism like for some of these courses? Because they're set up and they're not.
That's an interesting, I think we do know, we play courses all over the, you know, I think I've played, over 150 courses in 28 states and 5 countries, and the people behind me have played lots of different courses as well. And there's amazingly little vandalism, not only that, but there's amazingly little, you know, people tend to take care of the courses. I just tell you a quick story. I think did you mention you played at Meadowbrook Orchard? Is that what you?
PB.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful project as well. But there's a course in Sterling, Massachusetts, at a farm called Meadowbrook Orchard, and they were struggling as a farm, and they tried all different kinds of things. They tried to go as a wedding venue, and then they opened a really nice disc golf course there. And we played it, and I was talking to the woman who manages it, and she said she would rather deal with 600 disc golfers than one bride and her mother.
There you go, answer that right away.
I mean, yeah, so as I said, I think disc golfers are in general an appreciative group. I mean,
Well, we're not worried about vandalism from the disc golfers.
It's the
No, it is the other
riffraff.
population that vandalizes.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of vandalism in the restrooms, for example, at Tavasio.
Yeah.
I don't think it comes from the soccer players, the lacrosse players, the baseball players, but it's from other groups.
Right,
So we're not worried about
okay.
these folks or. we're
It's
just wondering
the
if-
non-players.
Just wondering if the courses you play see vandalism.
I've seen very little.
One point, you mentioned the initial cost is appreciable, right? But it is eligible for the community preservation.
Yeah.
Fund.
I played a bunch of disc golf courses and I mean, there's some, sometimes people will go on the benches or something, but I've seen, not very much, people destroying baskets. I've seen more baskets that have been damaged by trees falling.
They're pretty tough. I mean, it's just like having a swing set. So, and it's hard to analyze it.
I went to school in Worcester, the public work there, which was there significantly less safe than here. And I would say there was hardly any vandalism. I think I remember hearing about once they had one basket get stolen, but they sell lots of them, so that would probably be wise to put them on. I don't know if the company automatically puts them on, but that's really a big concern. That's the only vandalism I ever heard about from the Worcester based courses, and those are public free news. just go. To your friends.
Okay.
Last question was, you suggested the class requested a pop-up course, in the next couple of weeks. If the commission is on board with that, we would have our program supervisor reach out to you to talk about, I assume you, but if there's somebody else, details, equipment, registration, things like that. Are you the right person to?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I don't think we'd be leaning on you for the equipment at all. We would have the equipment.
Okay,
And I don't know that we would want people to register. I just think we want to get out the word and get as many people there as we can.
that's all.
Okay.
CC in the quarter, the booth's just gonna be in the quarter this year, aren't they?
They'll be not in the quarter, they'll be in front of the quarter, but yes, they'll be there. They just haven't started yet. They typically start the weekend after.
After Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So they would be there.
So you might be. If all goes well, you'll be cutting around.
You would
Cutting
be
Christmas trees.
competing with them,
We would love to be there at the same time.
you'd be competing for the party.
Right.
But
Okay. Anything else? Hannah, any questions? I have to say, very impressive presentation, and
Yeah, thank you.
I actually learned a few things out of this. I mean, so I thank you all for the time and, let us look into this. I mean, I think it's great with the expectations too, but I think this is a very doable type of thing from the beginning phase, and let's kind of work on this together.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for coming. We appreciate it. All right, back to our agenda here. As I usually do for the chair's updates, anything that pops up during the middle of the stuff we're talking about.
Should we be voting on whether about a pop-up or I don't know, that?
No, generally programs are run through the department. We
Okay.
Just get the, feelings on the commission about whether we want to move forward with the program type thing.
Okay.
Which we can try. Yes, if you guys, you're welcome to stay. Very invigorating.
Oh, it's
But if you do see, there's a sign sheet, just so we can get everybody's name correct on our minutes, and it'd be great if you could sign that, it's on the table in the back. Thank you. We have a few questions.
Sure.
And comments, so one of the comments is related to the disc golf. Christian says, I have played for 10 years and only ever seen one basket that has been destroyed by a tree, a single post on Facebook as well about whole game gotten stolen.
okay.
doesn't seem like there's much demand for us.
I mean, it's chains in a basket. I mean,
Example, the tees are the brick.
and you would also have to know what's out there. I mean, how many kids really go walking through the woods?
They do the easy stuff, like
Right, exactly, yeah, let's analyze the stuff that's right in the center of town and things like that, but
Not near enough to know that we're good to go.
exactly, yes. Or,
We're friends, friends with them. And then the other question unrelated to this golf was from Lindsay Page. Asking about the status progress of the action for feasibility study, would we be able to provide an update?
yes,
Yes, I can.
yes, don't we have it? I was just
So,
saying the agenda, I
I
think we had
just
something.
want to mention, that it's part of the direct report, and I will go over that in the direct report, but I did want to answer it live while.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay,
All right, so now back to where we were. All right, as I mentioned, the chair's update, I usually just do it throughout the whole meeting. There's really nothing that's glaring right now that needs to be addressed right at the beginning, so we will now jump into the director's report.
Okay, direct report. Again, my apologies, we are just coming back from Derek leaving the department, and as much as I was able to keep on him, I was not able to keep on myself to get this agenda out, and the agenda got out, but not the thing. So fall programs, our youth tennis lessons, which are now moving indoors, are a significant uptick. Youth archery, which is shared with multiple towns and actually being held in Wellesley, also a significant uptick. We had 1 as the last meeting, now we have 5.
Wow.
The Neshoba Scan Board, it is creeping.
But that's way better than where we were last time for number wise.
We were 2 last time, we need 20, hard 20 in order to run this program because of the busing costs. So the average price is just under $900 for somebody to attend this program. And that's,
If you get 20,
if we get 20,
it'll be 900.
it'll be $900. Then what we have put in for the public is If we get 25, the registrants will receive a credit.
Sure.
If we get 30, they'll receive a credit, because it's all based on the busing. We need 20 to run it and not lose our shirts.
And what date do you need to?
That was fantastic. No, go
It's
ahead.
like within the next week or two, we need.
Can we send email blast out? Can we also put it in the Thursday newsletter that the town sends out?
This week.
Schools, PTCs?
We put in all the ones that we have access to. There's a couple that, because we are a department and an organization, we cannot join the PTC groups. We have to join as a personal. Like I have to use my personal Facebook in order to join,
Oh, got it. Yeah.
which. We're working out some things on how to do that. They don't allow organizations, certain. Elementary schools don't allow. Other elementary schools do.
Okay.
Just their preference and that's. Moving on, fall events, we kids night out, always doing well. Puzzle League, we had our first Puzzle League last weekend.
I saw
Very
the photos.
We had some winners in 45 minutes. I can't finish a puzzle, 500 piece puzzle in 48.
That was me.
It was a group of 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right now, we only have one signed up for the December one, but we're hoping that the, social media may
Sure.
take that up. Youth art rocks, we're still trying to get you some registrations. Nobody wants to hang out with Hannah on Wednesday night, but that's okay.
Guess it doesn't rock then, huh?
No, it's not.
They know her. They don't know.
Yeah, they don't know yet.
Turkey hunt is this weekend. I will stress because we had a lot of calls. We are not actually hunting any turkeys. There's no hunting of any kind. The kids look for little pictures of turkeys that we hide down on the deck, just so that is covered. We get a lot of questions about that. It's phenomenal. And then our gingerbread house decorating will happen in September. Field and facilities, parks and forestry are systematically putting our grass fields to bed. They're slowly going field by field and putting them to bed. And our last home athletics for the high school will be Saturday. It is a 9th grade last home game Saturday morning. And I have requested it.
Also just add that, our summer swim coach, who's in charge of our swim team, Kate Curtin was in her debut season this past year for swim and dive and actually won the
Yep.
MIAA Division I championship. So
Big deal. I was reading.
I know, yeah.
I mean, our sports teams have done great, but that one in particular, and there are some really talented teams,
Yes.
competitive teams. that
and a couple
play.
of staff members on that team as well, so.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's good.
All around it.
That's great.
Feather in the cap for them.
Yeah.
Excellent. Capital projects, the active rec feasibility study, Lindsay, I hope you can hear me. We have had 2 firms bid on this project, Activitas and CHA. Both firms were deemed eligible, meaning we met as a group, we went through all of the requirements of the bid, and the 2 firms are eligible to proceed. Interviews of these firms, both of them will be held on the 16th from 9 to 11. So we interview them each separately. This is a request, an RFP, a request for proposal, so it is not based solely on the lowest bidder, it is based on qualifications. Which often happens with feasibility studies and designs, and almost never happens with construction. If anybody from the commission would like to join our group on Thursday morning, there will be a 9 o'clock and a 10 o'clock interview with each of these firms from each. So you can let me know offline if you're interested, and I can send you the invite.
Quick question. I'm familiar with Activitas. Was there the company that's doing the tennis courts?
They are.
CHA is an acronym for?
I have no idea.
What do you work for? CHA.
I do know the project manager, Mike Moonins, used to work for Weston Sampson. He's been in the field for over 20 years. I've worked with him in the past.
Okay.
CHA is a heavy supporter of Mass Rec and Park Association and actually all of the New England Park Association. So I've seen them at many conferences. So,
Okay.
they have over 20 years of experience easily.
So two great terms.
2 great firms, and I've worked with both of them, so,
Great.
either one I feel confident with, it's just a matter of who's best at this particular job. And as I will remind everybody, this feasibility study is just that, it's a feasibility study, it's not design, it's not colors, it's not what we're doing, and it's not when we're doing it, it's about where we can put these potential projects, either the action sports park or pickleball. What is the best location in town,
Mhm.
both for locale and for finance? Claxton Fields, Weston and Sampson are working on the finalizing the bid set. That will be the construction bid set that will go to bid. The project will be presented to funding at our annual town meeting in May. We're hoping to have the bid before, the bid set before, and prepare to go to town meeting with that, so that we can start up right.
On that, the only thing I will add is that we have submitted our application to the CPC for Claxton.
Yes.
That I guess this year it's a month early. It is not a December deadline, it is a November deadline.
And it's not Claxton that we submitted for, it's deposit.
Deposit, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
Claxton's down, you're right, I'm sorry, my bad.
Jackson is not going to
Claxton
see
is
this, right?
state.
Right, sorry about that.
The next project, the Bayview Playground,
Is.
is and has been, we have filed the application for the playground with CPC. Boston O'Neill provided a scope of work, the town's engineering department is doing the site measurements. I think they're out this week actually doing some of the measurements. There's been a lot of project management pass off, some of it, most of it going to the engineering department who hires, project manager to do these jobs. And so my position and the department's position is much more support and communication with the public versus the actual day-to-day project management.
Which is good, because
Yes, yes, so,
Very
the engineering department has already, set up a meeting with the tennis court, at tennis courts, and they're working on the playground. Not as we speak, because it's very dark out, but currently. McLeod Field, the weekly meetings are ongoing and progress is significant, as I have heard that 2 of our commissioners have walked the site recently. And
last Monday, what day was that? Right?
Tuesday. It was the day, yeah, it was a nice warm day.
It was a beautiful
Wednesday,
day.
I think.
Was it maybe it was one time? I was driving back into Eden, I had a few minutes and said, I think I'll drive by and see what McLeod looks like, and get out of the car and walking, and then he drives Ed, he goes, here for the tour, and what? He goes, well, Gerstel's coming, and he drives Chris Gerstel, and I'm, okay, yeah, I'm here for the tour. And we got a lot, and then he showed up.
Yeah, we were there for about an hour.
Yeah.
Talking to
good
the,
stuff, it looks really good.
it does.
Some significant process. Most of our hangups are due to just like supplies that are being delayed, like there's one pole for the batting cages, the.
dugouts, yeah.
Will be here from the spring, like those kinds of things, everything else is moving along quick.
It's a, if you haven't been down, Jim, it is an unbelievable
That's
project.
in the back of,
In the back of the days, yeah,
Yeah.
drive straight back.
yep, I know what it
It's
is.
unbelievable, compared to what was there,
Mhm.
the problems we have, so.
And then for the tennis courts, like I spoke about earlier, the engineering department's had a meeting with today with Activitas, to talk about the engineering portion and what we can do. I did have my first round of budget meetings with the town managers. We did update them on the costs, so everybody's aware, and I haven't gotten any updates from Artie, who is the point person in engineering.
Mhm.
But I can follow up with him this week about that meeting. Staffing, back to staffing, usually you only see this in the spring. So the first round of interviews for the admin assistant position, also known as Kim's position, are being held this week. They're today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. The second round, I'm hoping for early next week, but I'm aware that it is a holiday week, so if I can't pull it off next week, I'll pull it off the week after. Yeah, it is.
I'm sure.
Oh, boy.
Real
Yeah.
sneaking up on us. And in addition, I'm working with HR currently on the admin specialist, also known as Derek's position posting. So that's where we are on the director's update.
So you have 2 open positions.
We do.
Yeah. give me that. And if you can't answer this just out of because of privacy, the interviews that you're doing, any internal candidates or they're all external? Okay. That's fine.
The first round that I do for all of my interviews are speed rounds,
Sure.
and they are always held on Zoom. So the first round, we have 9 applicants.
Wow.
We had 23 applicants, we are interviewing 9 people.
Okay.
And so those rounds will be done, and there's a panel that include myself, somebody from public health. Another admin person and the HR.
Perfect.
And that's that for director's report.
All right, perfect. Any questions?
I just, I need to refresh around when we stand in the tennis courts in terms of the number of courts. We elected
Ooh.
as a commission to support.
The all 8.
We supported, the commission voted to support all 8.
All 8, right, okay.
And the budget number is $2.6 million.
Yes,
Because we're talking about the post-tension.
Concrete.
Concrete.
Correct.
right, okay.
Now, whether or not we get that moving forward, or if town management wants us to scale back,
Right.
we're just in the beginning where we presented why our numbers are the way.
And I think we also, if we all remember the design wise, it was design number B or letter B, where
Yes,
4th court was kind of pushed up a little bit, so it isn't impeding on the property line.
less invasive.
Yes, exactly.
Right,
So,
less-
okay.
less-
Perfect.
The next slide is not, this is just a reminder of the user fee. I sent these out last week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Zero pushback,
Good. I mean, that was my question asked.
zero, I wanted to let you know, we sent it out.
We've been talking about this, so that shouldn't come as a surprise.
Thank you for the updates, but no pushback, and also town management is aware, and they, were very appreciative of the proposed needs, because like we said, it lets the user groups know what may be coming down the pipe.
Did we do all 3 of 24, 27, and 30, or did we just do 24 and 27?
I sent them all, I
Okay.
sent this
Great.
exact slide out.
No, that's perfect. And we said again, subject to,
Yes,
I
I
think it's
said we
great.
proposed, and, you know, we would take a look later,
Mhm.
And I think the fact that you got that comment says current fee since 2008.
that did help,
Yeah,
That-
really,
that's-
really.
that's huge, yeah.
hard to argue.
So, okay.
Great.
In regards to discussion items, nothing really new with commission policies. Capital projects, you kind of went over in regards to what we have going on. CPC, Jim, any updates from CPC?
I wasn't at the last meeting.
Your next one is probably after the holiday, it'll probably be December, and that will be the time where you'll have all the applications.
Yeah.
And you'll deem if it's okay, we'd be hearing good from there. Playgrounds and facilities, the DeFazio Carlton Pavilion. When Commissioner Chastain and I were at McLeod walking with Eddie and Wu through McLeod, we decided to take a walk over to the Carlton Pavilion. And I'll let Cindy talk about it too, but that place is a disgrace. I mean, it did its due purpose since '95, and it was a great remembrance and memorial for the people that it was named after. But boy, that it's got to be updated. It is old. It needs. I mean, some people might say, "Hey, it just needs to be revamped." In my opinion, blow the thing up and do something else. I mean, it's a shame that it can't be used to what it should be, and it's just run down. But Cindy, your impression?
It definitely needs some work, and I think the first question is about the structural integrity, right? Because we were looking at the fact that some of Edwin showed us some of the lolly columns, right, are moved and upheaval and stuff. So I don't know if that's important. It seems important to me, not a builder. But it's a great facility. That building, I think, yeah, if we can't fix it, which I don't know we can, then we should build something else there. But we need to determine how we would use it. I think that the picnic table place, part of it is used heavily all year round, maybe not in the winter, but all of the other 3 seasons. And I think we need to make sure that we have that there for the groups. Whether or not we have restrooms, I've become a fan of the portables because of the whole vandalism issue. I don't know. Oh my God,
People get used to porta potties.
Yeah.
they're getting used to it, and I think, you know, it's not ideal, it's not what we'd like, but it's better than the issue we had. But it would be great space for meetings or storage or whatever, right? It's a really nice place. I don't think we should let that space go away from the building.
No, I agree.
But the building itself, it's already inside.
I would agree 100%. One of my first conversations that needs to happen is with building maintenance, because it is a building. They would be involved in that project from the start. And they have also suggested that we should take a look at the integrity of the building, the structural integrity, so that would be the first step.
Mhm.
One of the other things that I've been doing or having staff do is trying to get some plumbers to come out and take a look at what needs to be done to update these, to make them vandalism resistant. Not, we can't stop all of it, vandalism, but what we do. The problem we're running into is the project's so small, none of these plumbers wanna come out and do it.
It's not working.
It's not worth it for them. It's a project is big enough, we don't have a project yet.
We don't have a plumber on staff.
We do, we sub out our plumbers. So, and they are, as you can imagine, are very busy.
Right.
And so I haven't gone that route yet. I was trying to just, like the old days, look through the yellow pages. And get some plumbers to come out, but that has not worked, and so the next step is to talk to building maintenance and see, do they have a person that come out to take a look? And how do we take a look at the structural integrity of this? And when, and at one point, does this have to go on our capital project? Because regardless of what we do this, it is not gonna be not a capital project. It-
Oh, yes, oh, absolutely, oh, yeah.
And I think, if we may.
No, go right
I
ahead.
think that we should push for that, determination of what the condition of the structure is fairly quickly, because if we're going to continue to let people use that pavilion, at least the outside, the part that's under the roof,
Mhm.
then we need to be sure that it's okay, that it's not gonna have some, I don't think it's gonna have some major issue. On the other hand, we don't wanna, I'm not a building, but we don't wanna find that out. So, but I think we want to get that on the capital plan,
Mhm.
and I know our capital plan, things go way out, but if we're gonna use that in the meantime and have the picnic tables, which look fine to me, right? Those
They
are
did, yeah.
very serviceable. Then let's,
It has been submitted to the capital as a future form, so it's not in any particular year, but this at least lets the town know this is coming.
It's all right.
So if it has to skip over some other projects, it's not out of, it doesn't go from
Right.
0 to
at
2,
least it's on the horizon.
it's on the horizon.
And I think that was a great idea, and in the meantime, I think, the commission, or more likely the department, should think about what would we want there, what is most useful, and maybe it's an issue, a question to ask if builds on the groups. What do you think about that? What
No,
would
it's
you
great.
use there, plan that we're probably never gonna let you use it to cook, because that's just not happening these days, it's too cumbersome, but what else would you use it, would you use meeting space? Would it be a team meeting space, would it be coaching space, would it just be a pavilion? Like what we have at Green's Field, but bigger,
Mhm.
right, and just a shelter. But maybe that's something else, a sports group there.
And on that note, I did want to say, a few people, when I sent out the user group fees, were asking if we're gonna have a field summit, and I did tell them after the holiday, we can schedule something, so that really was the only feedback, like, oh, we're gonna have to discuss other things, but no pushback whatsoever from fees.
The only other thing I would add about the Cars Pavilion, and maybe we could kind of combine the project. Ed Olson from Park and Forestry said that there might even be a chance of putting a helipad there instead of back on High Rock. That it might be something that we, again, this is way far out, but whenever I hear something like a public safety and things like that, I'm always for it. I mean, it was a very prominent location before we started doing McLeod, that the helicopter would land there, and it just wasn't Needham that was taking advantage of it. It was the surrounding towns that would take advantage of it. So if it's something that helps public safety for not just our community, but multiple communities, I would explore the option of doing that there. And I was kind of amazed of the way that Eddie said it could fit in there.
I didn't think it would fit, and then.
And you wouldn't have to worry about disrupting any of the events going on in the fields, that it would be a self-enclosed, for lack of a better term, area. That in the past, if you ever had to land on McLeod, you had to take the people off Brock and Foundry, you had to take them off the track just because of the safety concern, that if it lands there, technically you could not disrupt anything else that's going on there. But me personally, I'd still like to have people off there, just, I'm just like,
I would.
so, but no, I mean, it's just, I mean, when you envision of what's there now and what could be there. Yeah, I don't want everyone to lose that space, and we can look for better options for what's there, so.
I think it's a good point, I think especially with the closure of Norwood Hospital, which it is being rebuilt.
Mhm.
It's got a glacier stage, you guys drive by there frequently. But I think the need for medevac is more important now with
Sure,
the loss of Northern Hospital. Because they had a helipad on their roof and obviously that's no longer in use. Among other things.
is there any way, just, and this is just from my own nerdiness here, that we could get a record of how many times we've had a medevac land between let's not do the COVID year, let's do, say, the last 2 years, between where we are last year to where we are this year, because where it's landing now is right by where I live, and I've seen at least 5
Really?
times that it's landed. So I would just love to know just of how many it actually does happen, just for a record, and be like, oh, if it's once few and far between, that's one thing, but if it's multiple times a month, multiple times a year, it's good to kind of have that number.
I also think one of the things of having it at Spazio is most of the times med flight is landing during the day, which
Mhm.
means it's not disrupting fields or games or anything else. It's infrequent that it happens in the afternoons.
Mhm.
So people don't realize because it's not next to people's houses,
Yep.
close to where High Rock is. So I think, yes, we can pull those numbers really nice.
That'd be great, okay.
Mr. Chair, another thing, we did look at the AED that's down there.
Oh, yes, thank you for bringing that up, yep.
And, we didn't open it up, I believe, Mr. Olson, we let him, right? We didn't want to break it, like, except for that, and he's like, you just go over and you open it, it's protein beside of that stuff. It looked like it was,
It was serviced back in August,
yeah, it's been serviced, it's up to date, I mean, there's not a phone line, obviously.
or
And-
power line, I
And
think
it
it's
must
a,
be, so it's a battery powered, which,
Mhm.
They're all battery powered. It's
Yeah.
just they have to get serviced to replace. them.
Right.
right, so anyway, it was good to see that there and see that it had been serviced. I don't know how often they have to get serviced, but it had been reasonably recent.
I was,
It's every 3 months.
So maybe it
was.
yeah, well, no, there were two, it was 8/17. And
It was another
it
day,
might have been either 4, like late
yeah,
4 or early 5, I mean,
so, not, you know,
Problems quarterly.
yeah. But I was also amazed, knock on wood, was not vandalized at all, I mean, the way
right,
that it was,
fine.
yeah. So. All right, anything else? All right, let us go on to action items and approvals, special event approval, looks like we only have one. From the Elliott PTC. And I apologize for going through the long version. It is for November 19th.
Parking bingo.
Oh, they've done this before, haven't they?
Yeah, this is an FYI.
Okay, so do we need to approve this, I mean, is there property in there? Okay.
Alrighty then. Policy approvals? None. Fee approvals? Don't have to worry about that till 2027. And meeting minutes. Let us scroll down.
Many minutes, usually the last minutes done by Derek, and we take a look at them and update them and edit them slightly, but they're mostly done by Derek, so.
Okay. Let's see, so great, all of us that were here, who attended were the same ones that were at the last meeting.
Are we the backbone of? I'm just saying, you're looking at.
I'll let you slackers see their name on absent more often. All right.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of October 23rd, 2023.
I have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes of October 23rd, 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, fantastic.
Any opposed?
Any? No, none opposed. Let's see, items not reasonably anticipated by the chair within 48 hours.
I have one
Jim, go ahead,
small thing.
go ahead.
I don't know if it was last week or the week before, I was going to play pickleball over at Mills. And a gentleman was there. He was from Parks and Forestry. And, cause I asked him, you know, and he cleaned off the courts on his own time. And I just thought we should thank him or something, or find out who he is.
We scheduled them, so yes, we scheduled them to come in and.
Oh, really? But see, he said something like, you know, on Parks and Forestry and, you know, doing this, you know, but I noticed it was a town truck and everything. I thought that was pretty nice.
That's great.
It's nice to hear.
Wow. All right, I will then add to that. I know we haven't had a meeting since we did the spooky walk together. very impressed. I mean, you couldn't ask for a more picture perfect 70-degree day. and-
85.
It was 85 that day. Okay. But just, I mean, I know I've done it years ago, but to see it, the first thing of how well organized it was. It was great to see parents dressed up, kids dressed up. I mean, it was what, 800 people, I think we had?
With 600 or 700 kids registered, and those kids come with adults.
Yes, so it
At least
was,
one, if not many.
it was a picture perfect day to have something like that. But the other thing I do have to say is, that was really my first time being at the town common. Very impressive. I mean, and this is even before the lights went on, but the public address system, because I was there for the dedication before, I mean, it was crystal clear, perfect. Stacy was able to plug in her phone and play music, through the speakers there. I mean, you couldn't have picked a better thing, and it was just, I was very impressed with how clean, how organized, how symmetric everything was compared to the way it was literally just thrown together. And we were just so used to it here. So I know that it took a while to get that done, but just, it is the crown jewel of the piece of, first it was the town hall, then it was the road going into it. To have that kind of finish the whole project, it was great. Very, very well done.
I would like to shout out to Chris Burnham, who will never watch this, but he organizes the event, runs the event. It is his brainchild. If we can get all of his information out of his head and download it into a document, that would be great, but it is Burnham all the way that runs.
Really? Oh,
In fact,
that's nice to hear that.
all of our events are run by Burnham.
No, that was great. Then,
So the kudos goes to him. We are the support staff.
Yeah,
that
oh,
was great.
well, thank him from the commission because we really appreciate that. It's a fabulous event and we had lots of nice comments on Facebook. But it's not always nice comments, but there are lots of nice comments about that, so it's great.
Okay. Topics for future meetings, not that it really matters. Did we ever get the report from the 2 duty officers that did the traffic the night of like that Tuesday or Thursday that we had? Just again, love to get the feedback that they have.
We have not, Brad and I have been paying phone tag.
Okay.
I saw him today and I did not ask.
It's all right.
But I will reach back.
Does DPW have a date of when they're gonna be taking, say, the barriers off of DeFazio, or are they gonna wait as long as possible? Or are they gonna wait for the construction to be done more of McLeod? Because that's usually where they post them up against that fence.
So they're gonna start taking them down, I think, after the holiday,
That's fine.
after Thanksgiving break. They were waiting because of the postseason was happening and we just weren't
Sure.
sure what was happening. They held off. A lot of the parklets have been pulled up.
Mhm.
I think the one left is, I don't know about Sweet Basil, if that's still there, but I know French press is still there. That's coming up either this week or early next week.
Okay. The other thing, I know we'd asked this in the beginning of the spring, and it looks like DPW was great doing it, is the dragging of the parking lot. That, I mean, just of me going down there so frequently checking on the cloud. You see a pothole one day, you don't see it the rest of the week. So they have been great about dragging it and not having it be in Crater City. So. Next meetings, Monday, the 27th. Monday, December 11th. I think we can skip the 25th, if that's okay by everybody.
I'm good.
Now, if Dina and Michelle want to meet that day, go right ahead, they can have their own meeting, but I,
The town will-
oh, God, they can go, you're right, they can go by soon. And I think traditionally, we've only always done one meeting in December, so, we'll just say we'll do the meeting on the 11th. Then the 27th, and then we will reconvene after the new year, January 8th. I'm trying to think. Last thing, town meeting wise, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say on the 27th, we're gonna be inviting John from Activitas to discuss the tennis courts.
Ooh.
And notify the public that that's gonna be happening, so we may have more public interest here or on Zoom. But I'll say from basically 7 to 7:30, we'll have a public meeting on
Sure.
tennis courts, and we'll post that and we'll send it out through the Major Need.
Got it.
Just so everybody's knowing, I did talk to John this week and he's
Okay.
on board. I believe he will be in person. But just so you're all aware.
Okay. Can we also, for the December 11th meeting, see if Ryan and the
Rich,
Rich, see if they can come? I'd love to have them here before we have the field summit. just kind of, because I mean, they're gonna be a part of it too, so I'd like to kind of meet with them prior, if they are available, and fit that on their calendars.
I will reach out to confirm.
Okay, Cindy,
Mr. Chair, we should have brought this up, we're talking to future meetings, can we make sure to put the field summit on our next meeting so that we can talk about what
Yes.
items we would like to be addressed at the field summit?
This field summit discussion.
We just need to have it as an agenda item. And the only other thing is a shout out to the Needham High School team, so
Oh,
having
yes.
a phenomenal success,
Mhm.
right? The football team, the volleyball team, boys soccer team,
dive
I
team.
think girls soccer were pretty far, swim dive. I'm missing somebody, but shout out to those kids and their coaches, I know that stuff doesn't come easily, and I was shopping yesterday and, ran into a young woman working in storage and I need a volleyball shirt, record, and I said, because she was so tall. And said, she played the Rockets, yes, and just told me all about what's going on, and was so proud, so it was really nice to have that, but a shout out to all those teams and to our high school.
I think there was like something out there, like no high school has had like more than one team in the finals for the fall, and we had one that's already won the state champion, and we have 3 that are in the final 4 of their particular brackets.
And let's give a shout out to the parents, because we wanted that, you know, the parents put in an awful lot of time and hard work and energy, right, for these kids to be successful, so let's just.
No, that's great. No, that is a great way to end it. Anything else? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Boom.
And then this is a nice thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Very nice.